So, okay, so then you took to the land,
Yeah.
and you started a farm, right?
Yeah, started a farm in Missouri. So that was when I learned. Back in the PhD, since I was somewhat alienated from my program, I started to study all this alternative stuff and not open source, but agriculture, permaculture, renewable energy, and all these progressive topics of how you could achieve prosperity for everybody. Buckminster Fuller and all this kind of stuff, appropriate technology. And then when I got to the land, I found that wow, that was all books. That was still didn't do it. We were basically pretty much annihilated by weeds that grew and equipment that broke down. And that's the story actually with the tractor that broke down. And so I found that
Mm.
okay, on one side you don't have access to appropriate long life equipment. Two, I didn't have any really practical skills. I read all the books, but I was completely unprepared for what was to come.
So, why did you start the farm? I mean, is that something that a typical PhD in fusion energy does, start a farm?
No, that's rather the exception. But the idea there was if you're going to try. So I was thinking about the big picture of things. What would society look like in a framework where everybody collaborated openly? There were no such things as patents. Like in academia, you'd be working on real meaningful problems and all that. So to start actually beyond thinking, doing something about it. Well, you got to start with okay, how do we live and survive? So that means okay, land. There's housing. There's agriculture. Agriculture is like the first thing that you got to feed yourself. And how do you then build up technology? So start thinking about what a better civilization would look like. So naturally, to for any civilization reboot experiment, you're gonna need some land. So that's what I did. Got the land and started experimenting.
Great. And then I guess I know you had some issues there. You talked about the tractor breaking down and other things, and that led you
Yeah,
uh, to start investigating doing what?
appropriate technology in a
Yeah.
real significant way. So that problem was okay. So I got a tractor, then it broke. Old tractor broke. Paid to get it repaired, then it broke again. Pretty soon I was broke too, as I say in my TED talk. And by the way, which is a good 4 minute introduction to the whole project if you want to take a look at that.
So if
But
somebody just goes to the TED.com and just searches your name, Marcin
yeah,
Jakubowski,
yeah.
that
Search for the
will.
global village construction set open source blueprints for civilization. So that's the kind of work that this led into was okay, if that's a problem that I had, I'm sure I wasn't alone in this and it must be persistent. So I decided, oh, well, let's see, if I'm going to solve this problem for myself by actually starting to build my own equipment, building in my own machines, then I can solve the problem for everybody. So now getting into the entrepreneurial spirit, okay, here's a problem. I didn't really look at it as the entrepreneurial scheme because I kind of came at it more from this is kind of like fire in my pants. I need some things like right now, which is somewhat entrepreneurial, but wasn't driven by this thinking, the business thinking, saying, okay, now I've got a problem, we're going to solve it. Here's a solution. Here's the value proposition. That came later. And I certainly think of like that more like that right now. But at that time, was about solving a pressing need for myself and others through build actually really building tractors for others. Mhm.
Yeah. So that how did that experience lead you to starting open source ecology?
Yeah, so more like that started me on the idea of the global village construction set, saying, okay, well, what are some of the most critical infrastructure building machines and tools that we all need to have the modern standard that we live with? Everything from your tractors to your bread baking oven to circuit making to everything that our society revolves on, energy, everything else. So I said, well, let's take a stab at identifying some of the most critical machines and open sourcing them so that anybody who wants to build a sustainable farm, sustainable community, or even bootstrap an entire economy from the ground up can do so readily. And that is a powerful idea. It relates to leapfrogging in the developing world. It revolves around prosperity in a country like ours, where we still have the fourth world. You know, we've got our impoverished areas aplenty in this country. So, what could we do with making technology accessible to the common man, especially?